That's it. Testing. All right. Mitchell Duke, first World Cup, and one fun fact you didn't know about Mitchell Duke, or you may know about Mitchell Duke, he's one of 9 in his family. He has 7 older siblings, and 9 of his family will be here at the World Cup. So I'll open the floor to you to ask Mitch questions.
Asking for the establishment of a migrant resource centre, and one was for the decriminalisation of same-sex relationships. And you talked in the video about establishing a legacy. So I just wonder what would be a success for you here? I know there's only so much you can do, and it's a very nuanced situation, but what would be a success for you?
Look, to be honest, I think we timed things well with what we said. We've done that purposely before we all came into camp. Because our main priority now, once we've turned up, is just focusing on the football side of things. So what we said in that video was covered, what should be heard, and now we're just here to focus on the football, to be honest, and that's not really spoken about now. We've got a certain job at hand here at the World Cup to represent Australia and do our job, so that's basically our main priority now, to be honest.
You don't want to say anything about this?
No, I think, like I said, everything's been said in the video.
Hello, Mitchell. 9, who paid for them?
Comes out of my pocket, mate. It hurt a little bit, to be fair, but you know, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, especially for myself, being my only World Cup. I missed the last couple that I could have been available for, you know, but now I'm getting older, and this is my first and last chance, I think, to play the World Cup. So the more family members I can have represent me is very special.
Who's the most excited out of the 9?
Hard one. I'd say either my mum or my 6-year-old son.
G'day, Mitch. Obviously, up front's probably one of the most competitive spots for positions at this World Cup. Just wondering how you feel about your place in the rankings at the moment. A lot of people probably say you have the inside running and a good chance of starting against France. So how are you feeling about your chances?
Yeah, I think obviously everyone wants to put their hand up to play in that starting 11, and for me, I think I've got a good enough chance as anyone. I'll just keep trying to prove myself in training every day to try and get that spot against France, and I think we've all got different attributes and different offerings to the team, so hopefully if I get my chance, I'll make sure I make it and help the country and do them proud.
Just kind of following on from that about the competition, do you feel, I mean, I know you've only kind of had very little kick around since you've arrived, but do you kind of feel that the new boys coming in has shaken up the attack a little bit? Do you feel like that could be something that will play out on the field?
Yeah, I think the good thing about the other fresh faces, I guess you could say, is they bring different attributes as well. So, you know, we all bring different strengths and weaknesses, I guess. So depending on what the coach wants to decide, playing against France and the other teams, he has great options available for himself, and it definitely brings a different mix of competition, which is exciting. You know, especially like Cummings and Quoll, you know, who only just got dragged into the last camp before this World Cup. You know, they're exciting prospects, and excited to work with them more and see what they can bring to the Australian national team.
You've mentioned France there. I mean, you've only been in the country for what feels like a matter of hours, but the game really is only a couple of days away. Have you let the tactical side of things come out? Have you started thinking about the French game yet?
Not completely. I was one of the first arrivals, to be honest, because my season finished just a bit at the end of October. So I was one of the first ones just getting top up condition-wise. You know, all the boys should be here by the end of tonight. So I feel like once all those boys turn up tonight, it'll start to be a bit more real with preparations and tactically, and start the conversations about building up to that France match.
Over here. Hey, Dukey.
Here you go, mate.
What's Graham Arnold's messaging to the players at the moment? He's obviously pretty bullish about what we can do, or Australia can do. He's spoken about 11 boxing kangaroos against France. Do you expect, you know, you guys are going to have to make that sort of approach and be really physical and aggressive and in their faces to have any chance of a result?
I think that's definitely been one of the main topics, is our physicality, running them into the ground and not backing down. He hasn't had the chance to really bring us all together yet and really get a clear message across. As like I said, all the boys should be here by the end of tonight. So once all the boys are here, I think tomorrow we'll have a certain meeting and get certain points across, and then we start preparing for France.
What gives you belief that you guys can beat the reigning world champions? Like, obviously on paper, you know, people will look at the game and think France should be winning easily. What's running through your mind and your heart that gives you hope that this can be done?
Well, I'm a true blue Aussie. I feel like the Aussie mentality is that not back down mentality. We can beat anyone on our day, not to be scared. Doesn't matter who they are. They're 11 players against 11 players, you know, and that's the mentality I think we've got to have, not get starstruck. I know that you obviously know some of the names in that France national team, but at the end of the day, they're human. It's 11v11, and, you know, that Aussie mentality, that Aussie spirit, if we can come on our day, I reckon we can do a job.
Have you set yourself any sort of realistic limit of how far you want to go? I mean, are you looking sort of group stage first and then further than that?
I think going by history, I think obviously we want to get out of our group phase and take it game by game, to be honest. And I think we just focus on ourselves, performance by performance, and you know, have performances that we don't regret. We give everything on the pitch, and you know, that's all we can do. And I think that should be enough for us to be really proud by the end of that group stage.
The World Cups that you can remember, where were you for the last few? Like you just joined the Mariners for 2010, I think, and 14 and 18, the ones that you might have been in contention for?
Yeah, the 2014 one, I was still at Mariners, and then I headed off to Japan, and I was actually in a couple of those games leading up to the 2014 World Cup, and unfortunately, I think I was in the extended squad, didn't make the cut, and then 2018 I was playing in the J League and didn't make the cut, unfortunately, as well. So that's where I was watching them, and obviously gave me aspirations to really give my all, to be fair. After especially the 2018 one, I was like, I've got one more chance for me personally, and that was my motivation afterwards. And, you know, speaking to some of the boys that have been to one or two before me now, they said there's no experience like it, and I'm very happy and privileged that I get my chance now.
Just a word on the facilities and the setup here, mate. Obviously, you've only had a short amount of time, but anything that sort of struck you in particular about the facility and your base?
Mate, unbelievable, to be fair, just with the finer details, even like all our names on the pillars, walking through the corridors, and all the stickers, the wallpaper, and everything. Literally in every single room, there's everything Australia about it, and it makes you feel you're at home. It gives you a good sense of pride. And it's just good motivation. You just see all the boys and all of our successes, you know, team huddles, pictures on the walls at our dinner, you know, social rooms, medical room. There's literally stickers and things everywhere of all the boys, you know, and some of the things that we've achieved all together. And I think that helps just remind us every day, I guess, you know, what we've done, how far we've come, and how much of a privilege it is to be here.
I understand Timmy Cahill had a run around with you yesterday. Can you give us a word on how he went? How many goals?
Nah, he's awesome to be able to actually work with. You know, greatest goal scorer for Australia national team. Yeah, for me being a striker myself, he's given me some great pointers and helping me prepare. You know, to get that kind of one-on-one time with such a legend is priceless. And I'm definitely soaking it all in and trying to learn as much as I can in this short period of time. Because if it benefits me, it benefits the national team.
In terms of that relationship, how does that work? Do you go to him for advice, or is he sort of a natural leader in that way?
Yeah, I think he's very much a natural leader. He gives advice. It spills out of his mouth. I don't think he can help it. He just loves it. He loves the game. He's obviously a very proud Aussie himself. You know, and he's still fit enough to kick about as well, which is awesome.
Mitch, I'm sure you keep a close eye on the Central Coast Mariners as the next player. And you mentioned Garang Kuol earlier. The guy's been in unbelievable form off the bench, changing pretty much every game he's been introduced in. Have you seen sort of some of what he's done recently, and judging by what you've seen from him on the track and just what you know from him in the previous camp as well, do you think there's a chance he could actually have a real impact on this World Cup?
Oh, mate, absolutely. He's that X factor. He's an excitement machine. I obviously have a soft spot for Mariners, so I do watch their games. And to see some of the stuff he's doing at the moment at such a young age, you know, consistently I know he's not started a game, but he's consistently doing his performances off the bench, and that's all you can ask of him. When he plays, he does a job. You know, so for us, you know, against the teams that we're playing against, to have that X factor, I think is a huge plus for us. And he can definitely flip a game on his head. You know, you see some of the Mariners games where they're 2-0 down, he's coming on, equalising the game with 2 goals or 2 assists, or he's creating something. And, you know, that's going to be massive for us, especially in such a big tournament.
And I don't have a fun fact about Tommy Deng, only that he's very good mates with Awa Mabil, and he's eagerly awaiting Awa's arrival in camp, which is only hours away. They grew up together in Adelaide. So you're looking forward to Awa joining you soon, Tommy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I spoke to Awa earlier. He was at the airport, so you know, looking forward to catching up with him. You know, for both of us, it's a dream come true. We've known each other since we were kids, and you know, we made our debuts together, and to now be at a World Cup together is you know, a fantastic feeling.
Thomas, congratulations on being here, mate. What was that last 48 hours like when you're waiting for a text message or a phone call, and then it eventually came through? You've had your injury worries this year as well, so you've been stressing about that. So taking all that into account, when it hit you, what was it like?
Yeah, very you know, frantic 48 hours. And luckily I had my girlfriend in Japan, and she helped me to calm down and you know, and just be patient. So when I got the text from James, the team manager, saying I was in the FIFA World Cup squad, you know, it was surreal. I ran to her and woke her up, and you know, she was ecstatic for me. You know, she was so happy and, you know, and overjoyed. What were you flipping out for that 48 hours? Were you pacing hallways and, you know? Yeah, just yeah, pacing up and down. You know, not knowing what was going to happen was the, you know, the most worrying part.
And mate, now that you're here, can you just give us an insight into your sort of first impressions and the mentality within the squad at the moment, and how the boys are feeling?
Yeah, the feeling in the camp is fantastic. You know, we're still waiting on a few boys to arrive, but you know, it's been good so far. We had a fantastic facility here. You know, the staff have been great with us, and you know, I think we're in a really good environment to focus. You know, especially on the first game in a few days.
And just on that, we spoke to Mitch a bit about the challenge in front of you, which is, I guess, impossible to ignore. You're facing the world champions first up. Can you talk about the sort of mentality you go into that match with, and potentially coming up against, you know, some of the biggest names in world football?
Yeah, definitely it's going to be a tough game, playing the defending champions. But, you know, for us, as long as we, you know, we focus on what we do best, and you know, we have full confidence in ourselves and we believe in our game plan, I think you know, anything's possible.
You come into this, well, the Socceroos come into this squad with a couple of injury concerns about some of the guys who you know, might be playing your position as well. Do you look at Harry and Kai and go, I really need to bring even more to this squad to, you know, to make sure that the pressure is kept up on those two?
Not really. You know, we have a really good culture here, and you know, the team gets along with everyone. So for me, I've got full confidence in all my teammates, and you know, if I get the opportunity to play, if not, I'm gonna support them no matter what.
Are you likely to be as nervous before the team naming as you were before the squad naming?
Probably, probably won't sleep, but you know, I'll be fully focused and ready to make my country proud.
Tommy, I know that last camp you and Awa spent a lot of time with Garang Kuol, the new face, who's obviously made the cut for this World Cup, and he's coming in again on unbelievable form for the Mariners. I'm sure you saw his goals and what he's been doing recently. I mean, you know the kid pretty well now, and we saw you both got a good sense of humour from the video the Socceroos posted a couple of weeks ago, which was pretty funny gear. He just doesn't seem bothered at all by the things that are put in front of him. Is that the reality from what you can see with Garang?
Yeah, he's you know, just a wonderful kid. full of confidence, and he's come in here, and everyone loves him, everyone gets along with him, and for me and Awa, we've just tried to look after him and make his transition, a lot easier. And I'm just so happy that he's got this opportunity, to experience a World Cup at 18 years old. It's definitely gonna, have, a better his career, and I think he has a really bright future.
And on a similar note, I know one of the proudest moments of your life/career was when you made your debut with ABA for the Socceroos. There's now 3 Sudanese Australians in the squad, 4 African Australians in the squad if you count Bacchus there. I mean, how significant is that for you, do you think, not only just for the future of football in Australia with the talent that's coming through, but also just as a reflection of the nation as it really is?
Yeah, definitely. It shows the diversity in Australia now, and I think it doesn't matter the background or where you're from, as long as you work hard for your opportunity, things will happen. And, me, Awa and Goreng, and also Keanu, we've worked hard for this moment, and also all the other players. So it's a dream come true for us, but, it has a greater cause, and, there's many children, ethnic children as well, that look up to us, and it gives them, a great sense of hope.
I was just going to ask about the air-conditioned stadiums and the conditions of playing inside them. I know Australia seemed to use that to their advantage in the crucial Peruvian qualifier. Can you kind of give a bit of an explanation to me about like how different it is to play in those conditions, and what sort of an advantage that might give the Socceroos who've played there before?
Playing in the air condition?
In those conditions, like what does it do differently, with the ball, and so, like Arnie's described it as playing on like glass or that sort of thing.
Yeah, the conditions I think are great here. Having the air conditioned stadiums. I didn't experience it with the qualifiers, obviously, but I experienced it last year with the Olympics in Japan. We played in a dome, and it just makes it a lot easier to play and to focus on the game.
But, the way the ball kind of moves, does it do anything differently? Because I remember Arnie saying it felt like the ball played differently. Did you feel that in Japan or no?
No, not for me.
Thomas, you're quick. You Mbappe quick?
Not at all, mate. I wish I had that pace.
It's around the mark, though. It's around. Have you thought about sharing a pitch with those guys?
Yeah, we always dream of playing against these guys. Watching the Champions League and watching the European leagues. You always wonder how it would be to come up against them, and to have the opportunity now. I'm just excited to see what will happen.
You just mentioned, Tommy, that the boys watch Champions League and watch these French players week in, week out. I'm pretty sure the French players probably don't watch too much A-League, J2, second Bundesliga, things like this. Is there a chance? I mean, it seems to happen sometimes when Australia faces bigger nations. They take you guys for granted. They look at things on paper and they look at Australia as a football nation and they think we should be more than good enough to do this. Do you think there's a chance they could take you lightly if that's their approach?
From what I remember from the last World Cup, Pogba was saying, Australia was their toughest game. So I think this time around it will be totally different. They probably are watching the A-League or, watching the J2 just to make sure that, they know every player and, tactically they can be set up better.
Well done. On this left side. Well done. Yep. Yep. Even though it's like standards, we want the best of standards. Great fucking duty, brilliant, mate. Great quality. Yep, made it feel good. Good. Take time, and over! Over, up! Wow! Fuck, you got it there? I've got to... Yeah. You can have a drink. Yeah, you went twice, huh? The ball went the wrong way. Right? Good. Yeah. Good. Keep the ball. The oranges, if you get it, try to score. Good. Keep that ball moving. Good. Well done, Deng. Good. 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 Good.